For generations, the Msunduzi Crematorium has been a place where families come to say their final goodbyes with dignity and peace. But in recent months, the sacred process has been shaken. Families have faced painful delays, grieving relatives have been left waiting, and frustration in the community is growing. This In Focus takes a look at what has gone wrong at the crematorium, why these delays are happening, and what it means for families, both emotionally and spiritually, when a loved one's final rites cannot be carried out on time. We'll hear from those directly affected, from community leaders, and from faith representatives about the urgent need to restore dignity to this important service. Recently, a Nortdale family shared a harrowing experience in which their family member's cremation was delayed at the Msunduzi Crematorium. Kobashan Naik and his teen daughter shared the experience of his wife and her mother having a delayed cremation due to there being no gas at the crematorium. The cremation was delayed almost by an hour. Thank you for joining us today, Kobashan. Can you tell us a bit about what your family went through?
It was highly traumatic. On the way there, the funeral director from City Funerals calls me as we arrive at the crematorium, telling me that, you know what, there is a problem and there's no gas there, and they want to redirect the funeral to Cato Ridge. And at that point, not everybody could make it to the actual procession that we had at the hall. And a lot of people were coming to the crematorium to pay their last respects. And, we got there. Obviously, the hearse got there before us. And when we got there, we assumed the guy would already have the back open waiting for us too, for the pallbearers to come out and take the coffin in. And he comes up to me, you know what, we had a problem. And then I said, yeah, the director just got off the phone with me, and you know what, it's not on. We're not going to go down there. It's too far, and there's people already waiting to see or pay their final respects here. We can't do that to them. And a lot of the people live from the area or just coming from work to just pay their respects and go back. It's a Saturday, but nevertheless, people work on a Saturday. So one of the most frustrating things for me is that I had my daughter waiting with a rose in her hand that was sitting in the crematorium now, but the body's not coming out. And then we also had people that traveled from out just to make it over there, but they couldn't view the body one more time or pay their respects one more time. And they just had to sympathize with us outside and leave because we waited almost an hour to this thing, to have the crematorium, this thing. But the anguish, especially for my daughter, holding that flower in her hand, waiting to say that last goodbye, and it's prolonging that grieving moment for us. And as a person from the community, having a little bit of resources available to us, offering our resources to get this going, and they said they have to wait for permission. You can't just do it.
When you say you wanted to assist, were you guys able to get gas or?
I had a guy 5 minutes out of the gas. I made the call. 5 minutes and the gas would have been in the crematorium because we live in a community where we network with each other. I'm a big, strong believer of if you have to give me a piece of work, and if I can give you back a piece of work, a network, and it builds strong relationships with people. So in times like this, where the community needs to stand together, it's like for me, it's Butch, no problem. My guy is on the way for you. So I have that kind of resources available. And on top of that, there, beside us not being able to, at that point, not allowed to touch anything or do anything, when the gas did arrive, they still didn't have tools to change over the valves. So one of the family members is an artisan, and he had tools in his vehicle to assist. So all of a sudden it was fine. When the gas came, then we can assist you. But when we could have had it done in a shorter period of time, he just didn't want to let us do it. We weren't asking for anything in financial gain or anything. We just wanted the procession to go on smoothly.
So, was there anyone else to assist you guys when the gas arrived, or was there any municipal employees?
There were two municipal employees that are there. And at first, they said it's fine if we get the gas. But then afterwards, they said no, they can't allow us because of certifications and health and safety and things like that.
Sure. So with this delay, obviously there was a delay in the rites being
Yes.
conducted.
In Hinduism, everything works according to time. So when you go and you book the crematorium, for example, and they tell you the availability is at 2 o'clock. Let's use our one for example. They told us 2 o'clock. So we get our religious leaders that conduct these things and say, right, if it's 2 o'clock, there's X, Y, Z that needs to be performed from that time to that time. It's all about getting this smooth transaction in this grieving process that we go through. So it allows us also, one of the big things in Hinduism is feeding the people that come there. Now, a lot of people generally go to the actual procession, follow through to the crematorium, and once the body is put through to the chamber,
Yes.
they leave back to wherever the food will be served, and that's generally back to the home or the hall. So a lot of them now, in that delay, couldn't make it back for those meals that we provided. We were left with a lot of food that we had to end up donating to charity. But that's not a problem donating the food to charity. The problem is that the people that we catered for did not partake in that meal. You know, it's like having, for me to describe, it's like the Last Supper. That meal with them is coming to break bread with us in peace, in the memory.
And share time with the family.
That's it. You know, sometimes people will walk into a hall and you'll find people laughing, and some people get offended by that. But sometimes they don't know why they're laughing. It's something that an experience they shared with the loved one that passed, and it's that little moments that makes you remember that person in a happier state. You know, like for me personally, I found my wife that morning when she passed on. And it's not the best memory to have or the last memory to have of that person. You know, no one wants to remember their loved ones in that moment of you want to remember them in their best moments. And it so happens that when you at these kind of things, when you're breaking that bread or you're having that meal, someone will bring up a memory that they had or an experience that they shared, and it'll make the whole table laugh or smile with them. And it just brings everybody together at that point to say, you know what, this person lived a beautiful life, or this person was caring and generous. You know, it just opens up the table. And even if the family had disagreements with other people, but at this point you come to make peace with each other. It brings people together that we're at odds with each other. You know, it tightens up that bond. But when you have delays and people don't get to interact, it just leaves so much unsaid at the table. You know, you want peace. Soul has to rest in peace, and not being there to show your appreciation to everybody that came forward to pay their respects for my wife. I felt disheartened inside me because there was a lot of people that came there, and at the cemetery there was a lot of people that attended there but didn't get that opportunity to pay their last respects. And that was like so terrible for me because she was well loved, well known, and people cared about her enough to make that time. That's the biggest thing in today's world. People don't make time for each other. And when people do make that time, I like to show my appreciation for that. We all know we live busy lives, we have hectic things, we have things going on the whole day. But when you make that small piece of time for somebody and they don't get to show their respect to it,
Yeah.
it's hard so on both sides. I wouldn't know per se that someone that came to the crematorium was there to make their peace with her. They maybe never open up and say, I'm here to make peace. But if that procession continued where we were allowed the body to be offloaded, we can't even take the body out of the hearse. I had to ask the driver to turn on the aircon so it can keep it cool because it was quite a warm day.
Yes.
Now I'm just thinking, if we had to drive all the way down to
Caterage.
how much more longer would that body be in the warm? You know, and that's another traumatic thing as well. To travel extra with the body, you know, we didn't travel in the hearse. Um, my wife's sister traveled in the hearse. My sister-in-law traveled in the hearse, and how much more traumatic that would have been for her now going with this thing for an extra 30 kilometers or 35 kilometers, sitting there with all those thoughts that my sister's gone now. I'm traveling in the back. My daughter's sitting there. Now she's traveling an extra 35 kilometers, thinking in now all the thoughts in her head to process that now. I'm going to say goodbye to my mom. I'm saying goodbye to my sister. I'm saying goodbye to my wife. How do we deal with that now? when we are trying to transition from a negative into a positive. End of the day, death is death. We can't control when and where it happens. But the outcome of it is what we can do. And the outcome for me wasn't the best outcome that day, because I still had to go back and try and explain to the elders what was going on, because they don't know, or they don't have those experiences where they come out and then you sit and wait. To them now, this is wrong. Culturally, it was wrong for us to be waiting with the body. It was supposed to be a smooth transaction. The spiritual leader as well was frustrated because she had to get to another function that she had to perform her duties at. So it's just not on with this thing. As we know, there is problems with our municipality, but certain things have to be addressed.
That's true. So, how did your family, as you said, there were delays in terms of, some couldn't attend the that which was set up at home, but eventually, how has your family, you know, dealt with this over the past few weeks, and tried to find comfort?
It's basically the love and support from each other. You know, understanding that we live in a country where, as some people say, it's a movie. In our country, you can never propose something and not expect the worst to happen. There's always something. Uh, like in business, we'll say you'll plan 10 steps ahead, but the ninth step might just fall at the end. That's our country. That you'll have all the plans there, but at the first step, it can collapse. And it's just that the being there for one another, showing that what, as me as the husband, I tried my best at that moment to use whatever resources I had available to me to do this and get it done as quick as possible, transcend from one level to the next level, and show them at that point, I'm strong enough to handle this, not break down and show off my worst over there. For example, I could have just started throwing my toys around, calling in favors with this counselor and that counselor to make the situation worse, where I tried to just do my best. And all in fairness, I was trying to get this over and done with for my daughter to just, at the end of the day, we're going to go home now and we're going to see what we can do tomorrow, how we're going to wake up tomorrow, and what we're going to do tomorrow, knowing that a major part of our life is gone. We cannot sit there and not do anything about it. As traumatic as it was, I went from her, I hugged her, and I told her it's just going to be a little while longer. And we had to deal with it. I could not make them drive all the way down there and wait till 5 o'clock to have this procession complete. So we said we'll wait there. But the funeral director was communicating with us, letting us know what's going on. It took about an hour or so for it to happen, but it did happen. I'm grateful for them for doing what they did, got the procession going again. But it's our municipality that is at fault at the end of the day. They don't have respect for the general public, blue collar workers, people that are struggling to make ends meet. And funerals are not cheap. To have a small family come in and sit there and wait when you got things that need to be sorted out. There should be other rituals that go on during the culture, the customs that we follow. Um, some okay, if it was a Christian procession, probably the pastor would get them to sing hymns and try to keep that morale going. And it's not acceptable. People, except for the immediate family, need to be places. Not everybody can sit there and mourn with you for the hours or 2 hours at a time. It's just not practical anymore. We don't live in that time where people can take the whole day to just sit there and hold your hand. People have families, they have needs that need to be met at home. We don't know. For example, if you were attending that funeral, we don't know if you have someone at home that needs attention, that can't leave the house for some reason, and you're the person that's their keeper, and you only got that hour to come out. So it's about being considerate, showing respect to everybody in the community that needs to use the premises. We are grieving. My wife has passed, and I'm doing what I need to do to get her to the place of rest. So, what more can we do at that point? We are still grieving. It is not a small loss for us. Any family, for that matter, when you lose a mother or you lose a wife, it is not a small loss to the home.
And
It's a massive loss for the family
there's still so many rituals to be completed.
to be completed on the day. When you finish there, we go back, you look at all the things that you have to prepare for the next day as well, because we still had to put the ashes away. And generally in our cultures that the ashes must go as soon as it's done. And that created a little bit of drama amongst the family, because certain family members wanted to bring the ash to the house. Certain family members wanted to keep the ash. And with our culture, it doesn't happen that way. So it did cause a lot of.
So when were the ashes dispersed of?
It was dispersed the Sunday, the next day, in the morning. So we had to wait. There's nothing we could have done. It was too dark to travel to a body of water to release the ash. And I'm a big firm believer in it is what it is. I couldn't do any more of it. My daughter wanted to be part of that ash disbursement ceremony. So there's no way I'm driving to a body of water when it's 7 o'clock in the night and it's pitch dark. You never know. You can go with a whole group of people, but some guys can just be out there just thinking, hey, there's a whole lot of cars here. We can take a chance and, you know, and then it'll be worst case scenario, another death that occurred. And then what they'll say, there you go, you wanted to go there in the night and do this thing, and you can be held accountable now on that grounds. So we left it for the morning. We went when it was sunny and had the procession done, which went peacefully and well in the morning.
I'm glad that despite everything, your wife still had a good send off, and
She had a beautiful send off. Wow. So we appreciate the witness for doing the article. It's gained a lot of traction, a lot of people, a lot of positivity for the community, knowing that they all came out and putting up their hands to say there is a problem. So it is making the noise, the correct type of noise to the municipality that they need to start ship making ship shape again. Everybody complains. Not many people get up and do anything. But this time, the community has done what they could, and we can only ask for them to hear what we're saying and come forward or give into whatever solutions that we can in this thing. End of the day, we know it has to serve the community. That is what that premises is. It just the cemetery in a whole just doesn't serve Northdale. It serves the vast majority of Pietermaritzburg. Like the burial sites, you get people from Imbali, Eatondale, Landscorp, Eastwood, Copesville, sometimes from Hanover, New Hanover, coming down and using the premises. So the premises, as times, people used to use the premises as a walkway from one end to the other end. Now they're too scared to even go through there because they're getting robbed. People go there to pay their respects to tombstones. Some people like to go and put flowers. They're getting hijacked in there. They're getting robbed in there when you're going in there. It's happened to a few colleagues that I used to have where they went to pay respects and they got robbed inside there. So it's not like the old days you could just walk freely through it.
And this is due to the state of the cemetery.
The cemetery, the grounds is in a bad state. The grass is overgrown.
Yeah, you're raising some important points there, Kumashan. And once again, we sympathize greatly with your family for your experience at the Msunduzi Crematorium. And we also want to thank you for just joining us today.
Thank you for having me. And I hope that this gets the traction that it needs to sort the problems at the crematorium, because that's the final resting place for most families to say their goodbyes to their loved ones. And I just say to everybody else that had any bad experience, my condolences, my sympathies, and I'm there with you guys through this time. We have to stand together to have it sorted out, and let's just all pray and hope that this reaches the right ears and we get some resolution to have this sorted out, because in time of grief, you don't want unnecessary calls.
No, definitely.
So, as I said, thank you very much for having me, and let's hope this reaches the ears that it needs to. Thank you.